This is the Moyer Road paving project with an extension. Michelle?
Yes, so if you recall, the commissioners approved a 2-week extension for this project at their last meeting, subject to the code in place recycling being completed by September 30th. I know this project is completed, however, the contractor did not complete the project until the end of last week. So individually, I told the commissioners to make sure they were okay granting an additional extension. And tonight I'm asking you to just ratify that additional extension for the West Moyer Road paving project, which would be through today's meeting.
With that said, the motion is an extension for the project.
I'll make that motion.
Hearing a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Hearing a second, further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries.
It's supposed to be started either tomorrow afternoon or early Wednesday morning.
Just for the public's knowledge, I just heard Hank ask that question and I meant to say this. So, just for the public's knowledge, the road is, entirely complete from a paving perspective. However, the line striping is not completed. We're hoping to have that completed, either tomorrow or Wednesday.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Kevin.
New business A, the fire engine authorization for repairs. Michelle, you got that one?
Yeah, so I was approached by the fire company, both Don and Matt Galamba. So there's one of our fire trucks that needs some repairs, and the estimate on the repairs is $6,137.07. So I'm just asking for the board's approval, because that is above the threshold that will come out of the fire fund, and there is money in the repairs part of the budget.
Motion on fire repair.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Thank you.
New business D. This is one of the open space and rec board items. It's approval for the annual event. Greg, you have any more on this? Or you go ahead, Michelle.
So this is an event for the Alt House Arboretum. It's called Parents Night Out. They have been doing this for several years, however, and upon reviewing the agreement and the fact that, events like these have to be approved by the Board of Commissioners, that was never done. So we're just asking for the board to approve this as an annual event, which occurs twice a year, actually. It's in the fall and the spring. It's a very small program. It's for about 20 kids, and it gives parents a chance to go out to dinner or a movie or whatever, while they babysit the kids. So it goes from 5 to 9. They do a short night walk and roast marshmallows towards the end. It's almost identical to their scout program. So they were just asking, and the open space did review that, and they're recommending that we approve it as an annual event, so that it doesn't have to come back to you every year.
That said, I'll make a motion on that item.
I'll make a motion for the Parents Night Out, 2 times a year.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
Hearing a second, further discussion?
I was only confused, why are we approving this? I mean,
The agreement requires the board to approve these kinds of events because they're after hours.
oh, okay,
So we are taking a look at that agreement to
Yeah.
streamline that. I
Yeah.
have it drafted, I just need to proofread it before I send it off to the board.
let's do that, because I think open space can approve this.
Insurance for the event that's covered.
Yes.
Any more? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, new business C, Michelle?
Previously, the board approved a Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation grant for a trail connection study in the township to connect all our open space. And with that, there was a township match, which the board also approved when they applied for that grant. However, we came across another grant that we can apply for that would be a match to that grant from the Pottstown Area Health and Wellness. And the Board of Open Space is recommending that you approve an application to the YEC Foundation for $20,000 as the match for the trail connection study.
Okay, this is one recommended by the Open Space Board. Is there a motion on this?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Hearing a second, further discussion or question?
Just clarify, this is providing the match for the grant we applied for.
Yes,
Okay, so nothing comes out of,
correct, nothing
Okay,
comes
I
out
just
of
wanna make sure.
coffers, yep.
alright.
Nothing further, all in favor say aye.
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 Against? Motion carried. New business D, Michelle?
On this one, this is for, also recommended by the Open Space Board, so recently we had our, annual or every 2 years, our insurance company comes out and does an inspection on our buildings and our playgrounds, and they happen to pick Heather Place Park Playground. And in doing so, they pointed out that we needed to replace the roof on the pavilion at Heather Place. So I am recommending, that we approve that in the amount of $6,985, and that's based on the lowest responsible bidder. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Part of the open space report was that you also, approved the playground equipment, however, we're not at the point where we have an estimate on that. Kevin did meet with a playground inspector, and he has some recommendations for fixing some other issues with the playground equipment, but until I have more information, I'll present that at a later time.
Need a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll make that second.
Second, further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Motion carries. New business E, the Gambo minor subdivision. Eric, please.
So E and F actually go together. Essentially, this is a subdivision and a land development application. There was some confusion with the application process, as well as they are pretty involved plans that include both the township and West Pottsgrove. So the coordination between the two municipalities is going on here as well. We reached out to clarify some of those issues with the developer as our 90-day period to review the plans was expiring. In your packets are the signed extensions on both new business E, which is the minor subdivision, and new business F, which is the land development. So it extends it 90 days from November 12th. So it gives, essentially by approving this, you're giving the township an additional 90 days to provide those comments to the applicant and then to work through some of those comments. So it will be essentially a motion to approve the extension for the minor subdivision, and then a motion to approve the extension for the land development application, or a combination thereof.
Okay, combine those,
Yeah,
put
it's fine.
both stated in motion, so we'll be voting on both those, it's just the 90-day extension was in your packet, so for the motion will be for both, so I need a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Here a second, further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Extension granted, that's E and F. New business G, new police car. Michelle, or is it Jim gonna talk?
I can talk about it. Commissioners, back in January, one of our vehicles was involved in a crash. Unfortunately, it took till September until they totaled it out. We will be reimbursed from the insurance company in the amount of $46,918.65. I'm seeking approval to replace that car and outfit that vehicle. I do have a couple estimates right now. I'm gonna try and see if the one car is available, which is a 2024 in the amount of $43,971. And if that's not available, we'll have to get a 2025 in the amount of $46,995. The outfitting is just shy of $15,000.
I need a motion on the police car.
I'll make that motion for the police car.
Here a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Here in a second, further discussion?
How much did you say the insurance company is reimbursing?
$46,918.
Okay.
Any more? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
H, a couple of these are ordinance suggestions that, the solicitor will be drafting out, so Eric, you wanna start with H?
Sure, so H is an amendment to provide early retirement for non-uniformed employees who both reached the age of 55 and completed 25 years of service. So it's an additional non-subsidized early retirement benefit for those employees.
So we're, drafting it up, to give it to the commissioners, take a look at it, any comments around that?
So again, this is not to approve it, this is just allow it to be advertised and added to a future meeting.
We'll need a motion to advertise.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, further discussion?
Just so, when you give us the ordinance, can we have the original ordinance so we can see what the changes are?
Sure.
Okay,
And it's actually, just so you know, it's in your package and it's there.
Oh, it's
So,
there?
It's, yeah,
this
so.
is the original
No,
ordinance?
it's not, but I'll explain it, and I can explain this to you too. So
Okay.
really, the original ordinance is 43-19A. That's how it is today. We're adding subsection B.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All in
But
favor?
but obviously, if you need it, Kathy, I can provide it to you separately.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it, thank you.
absolutely.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carries. I is the solicitation piece we've been talking about.
Yep. So again, this is just authorization to advertise this. It is 90% drafted. This came up at a prior meeting where there's issues with solicitors going through the township, and we wanted to provide some more controls to that. We will hopefully get that out to you by next week, but this allows us to finish that up, get it to you, and then advertise it for a future meeting. So again, you're not approving it, you're just allowing us to advertise it for a future meeting.
Need a motion on soliciting?
I'll make that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a second, further discussion?
Yeah, this subject was probably the most responded to I think I've had since a commissioner. I know it was brought up briefly in a meeting, and there was a lot of support for this. I haven't seen the draft one yet, am I correct? 'Cause
You're correct, no,
Okay.
so it's written on my desk, again, I finalize it, hope to get it out by next week.
Again, I would encourage, and I'm sure there'll be some pushback, instead of having an opt-out list, we have an opt-in list, and that way everybody's automatically opted out, and if they feel their civil rights are being violated, they can opt in. Soliciting people walking down your driveways, I mean, I got a lot of feedback at church, and I didn't realize all these people lived in Upper Pottsgrove. And, they said they fully support it, and they will be here when it's time to vote on something, so. Just let you commissioners know, this was by far the biggest issue I think I've ever, had as a commissioner.
Yeah, we're.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries to advertise. New business J.
So this is, essentially the last part, not the last, but the last part of the development phase of this project, where you approved a minor subdivision, I believe it was a 2-lot subdivision, for the property back in December of 2023. They've now sold, they being the owners who developed it, sold the project to a developer. The developer is proposing to, post cash in the form of an escrow, to ensure the completion of the public improvement. So you're really just authorizing the township to sign the land development agreement and stormwater operating agreement, once the developer signs it and posts the escrow.
Okay, I'll need a motion upon the recommended item.
Where is this gonna
Where is this place again?
It's off of Mother's Mill.
Mhm.
The property is a small property off of Mother's Mill
Oh,
Road.
that one.
No public street, it was a private street they're gonna have, so the public improvements are more stormwater, landscaping to make sure all that stuff is done properly.
Is it still two homes?
Yes.
It's still the original two
It's what you
homes?
approved, yes, so this is just now, getting it to a point that they're ready to build it. So they won't get a permit to build unless they post this escrow first, so all you're doing is allowing, the developer to essentially, or allow the township to sign this once they post the escrow.
Alright,
Make that motion.
In a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
In a second, further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. New business K. Eric?
So this is one, is to authorize, my office to prepare an ordinance to, essentially create a planning committee or commission, for the township, so we can bring that, committee back.
So did we drafting out the, Eric will be drafting out the orders for that for you all to review.
Yes.
okay, I do have a question about this. Are we going to see the ordinance at least a week and a half before the meeting?
Yes.
Because I don't like getting things late on a Friday.
Understood, so here's what the process has to be, I have to draft it, it has to be advertised at least 7 days prior to the meeting, so you'll have at least that ahead of time, and ideally, we'll have this drafted almost a month before your meeting.
Okay. We're not going to, because what if there's things in there that we wanna switch around?
So this is, again, just authorizing me to
Okay,
draft it,
I just
advertise
wanted-
it, bring it to this board for a hearing, or for, actually, no, you do need a hearing for zoning. So, to have a hearing and comment on it.
Okay,
So-
because I wanna make sure what is in this, everybody's happy with,
Sure.
okay?
It'll be, right, it'll be to the whole board to make comments on.
Okay, thank you very much.
So this is to authorize to advertise it, and of course, we're gonna get reviewing that beforehand, so.
As it's just, as a zoning one, this may have to go to county planning commission as well, so I'll have to take a look to see if it's 30 days out or if it's 7 days out. I'm not sure if that's in here tonight. But we'll make sure we follow all the rules.
Okay, need a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Here a second. Here in a second, further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Just one question, I'm sorry, if, once the draft is out, Luke said 7 days ahead, we probably get it, or.
Well, if it's zoning, it has to be at least probably 45 days ahead. So it'll be at least 7 up to 45, and I think it is zoning, so it'll probably have to be 45 days ahead that you'll have it.
To Kathy's question, and we need to look at it before we approve it, can we discuss that by email, so when we get to the meeting, we have a final draft?
No.
Good.
2 of you can. No more than 2 at a time.
Okay, other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,